So let us start unit number 4 of the BSc part 1 semester 1. Okay, so earlier we have completed unit number 1 and that was based on Newton's laws of motion, gravitation and other things. Okay, now this particular unit, that is unit number 4, is based on superposition of the waves. Okay, it is based on superposition of the waves. Then what will happen when two waves are propagating in a perpendicular direction, and what will be the path of the resultant particle, or what will be the resultant path of that particular particle in space, that we have to see. We have to see the standing waves, okay, stationary waves, moving waves, then velocity of the waves using Kunz tube, okay, formation of nodes and antinodes on the stretch string, that we have to see. We have to see the ultrasonic waves, its production, its detection, its applications and advantage. Okay, so lot many things we have to see in this particular unit. So let us start one by one. Okay, so we have to study the superposition of waves in this particular unit. So the first question comes to our mind is that what is meant by wave? Okay, so what we have to call, means which thing we have to call it as a wave. So wave is nothing but one type of disturbance in space. Okay, wave is nothing but one type of disturbance, okay, which carries energy along its propagation direction. Okay, so there will be the wave propagating from one point to the another point. During its propagation, it will transfer energy from one point to the another point. But remember that particles of the medium will not propagate. Okay, particles of the medium will be moving, or it will be performing some kind of motion at one particular point in space, but there will not be net transfer of the particle from one position to the another position. Okay, so that we have to remember. Wave will be propagated, but particles will not be propagated from one point to the another point. Okay, or in general, if we want to define the wave is something that changes simultaneously with respect to space and time. Okay, wave is, I have already told you that wave is nothing but one type of disturbance, or alternatively mathematically if you want to say, so wave is nothing but it is something that changes simultaneously with respect to space and time. So this particular thing can be understood if you look at this particular equation. Here del 2u by del x square is equal to 1 by v square del 2u by del t square. So what is meant by del 2u by del t square, del x square? So u is any function, okay, u is any function that changes with respect to space, because del is nothing but one kind of derivation. Okay, and derivation, the physical meaning of derivation is nothing but the change. If you want to find out the change in one particular function, we have to take the derivative of that particular function. So del 2u by del x square, it indicates that this particular factor tells us that there is a change in the function u with respect to x. With respect to x means what? X is a space coordinate. So there is a change happening in the function u in the space coordinates. Okay, so it is something, if you see the left hand side, so it is something that changes with respect to space. Here on the right hand side, there is 1 upon v square, where v is the velocity of that particular function. Where v is the velocity of that particular function. And again in the extreme right, there is a del 2u by del t square. So this particular factor tells us that there is a change in the function u with respect to t, and t is nothing but the time. So on the left hand side, there is a change with respect to space. On the right hand side, there is a constant multiplied by change with respect to time. So it is something which simultaneously changes with respect to space and with respect to time. So such a thing will be called as a wave. Okay, now remember that whatever waves which we will be discussing in this particular unit, all these waves are simple harmonic wave. So what is meant by simple harmonic motion, that we have already seen, or you might have already studied in unit number 3. That particular unit is completely dedicated on the simple harmonic motion, right? So simple harmonic motion is a motion in which the force is directly proportional to the displacement, and the direction of the force is opposite to that of displacement. So it is different than that of the central force, which we have studied in the unit number 1. In case of central force, force is inversely proportional to r square. but in case of simple harmonic force, the force is directly proportional to the displacement and the direction of the force is opposite to that of displacement, and therefore what we write in case of simple harmonic wave or simple harmonic motion, F is directly proportional to minus x, right? So this is a basic difference between simple harmonic force and the central force, and a wave will be represented by a simple harmonic motion only. Okay, so any wave, whatever waves which will be considered, these waves are nothing but simple harmonic waves. Okay, and what is the definition of simple harmonic motion? I have just explained it. So what are the different types of wave? Okay, so before that, this wave, in a nutshell, if you want to look at the wave, there is a transfer of energy in the wave, usually involves a periodic repetitive movement. Okay, so you know that if this is a wave, if this is a representation of wave, then you can easily see at this particular point, if this is a x-axis for example, or this is a represented time axis, okay, and in the vertical direction there is a representation of amplitude or distance from the mean position. So here you can say that if vertical displacement is denoted by x and horizontal displacement is denoted by t, okay, time. So just look at the vertical displacement. So this particular point is the midway point. So this is our 0, okay, this is positive axis and this is negative axis, downward size. Okay, so the particle is starting from 0 position or the origin position, then it is reaching towards maximum, okay, then again it is moving towards 0 position, then again it reaches to the maximum position but in the opposite side, that is in the negative side, again it reaches to the 0 position, again it reaches to the maximum position but in the positive direction, again 0, again negative maximum, again 0. So you see there is a repetitive motion. Okay, particle is executing repetitive motion. So such a type of motion is exhibited in the case of wave. So this is one of the representation of the wave, and there is again another representation of the wave. You see there is a formation of this. If you look at this particular position, then you see there is a crowded lines. Okay, in this particular place there are the crowded lines, in this particular place there are elongated lines. Okay, or we can say that the crowd is quite less. Okay, so it is at this particular position the crowd is high, and at this particular position the crowd is low. So this particular position is called as a position of compression, and these particular positions are called as a position of rarefaction. So there is a formation of compression, rarefaction, compression, again rarefaction will be there, compression and rarefaction will be there. So such a type of displacement of the particle can also be represented in the form of wave only. Okay, because we know that these particular formation of compression and rarefaction, this particular formation of compression and rarefaction takes place in the case of sound waves. Okay, or sound waves moves in the form of compression and rarefaction, and we already told you that sound wave is nothing but one kind of wave. So wave is represented like this also, or wave is represented like this also. So in any kind of wave there is a periodic motion or repetitive movement. It does not include, or it does not result in the net movement of the medium or the particles, because the medium will not move or the particles in the medium will not move, but the wave will be moving from one position to the another position. Okay, so if this is a wave, then there are certain parameters of the wave. The distance between two maxima, the distance between these two maxima is denoted by lambda, and it is called as a wavelength. Or the distance between a one complete wave, you can start from origin. Okay, so if it is starting from the origin, it is becoming maximum, again it is reaching towards origin, it is becoming maximum in the opposite direction, again reaching to the origin. So this complete packet forms a wave. The distance between these two is a wave, and the length of this wave is called as a wavelength. It is denoted by lambda. Okay, and you see this is a one oscillation. This is a one, you see particle is starting from a mean position, it is reaching towards another maxima, again it is coming towards 0 or origin, it is again reaching towards another maxima in the opposite side, and again it is reaching to the origin. So this is one complete path of the particle. Then again it is repeated, the same path is repeated again and again. So one oscillation, this is particularly one oscillation. So oscillation per unit time is nothing but the frequency. Frequency is the number of oscillations per second, or number of oscillations per unit time is nothing but the frequency, and it is denoted by small f. Okay, sometimes it is also denoted by nu. So there is a wavelength, there is a frequency, okay, and maximum displacement from the mean position is called as a amplitude. So you see, this is the origin axis. This axis is means at this particular axis, at this particular time axis, the displacement of the particle is 0. So here also 0, here also 0, here also 0. So from the origin, what is the maximum distance traveled by the particle? So maximum distance traveled by the particle is here. Maximum distance traveled by the particle is here. It is here. So this particular maximum distance is called as a amplitude, and amplitude is related with the power, okay, or intensity, okay, because intensity is nothing but the square of amplitude, right? So this is a wave in general. Now what are the types of waves? So there are two types of waves. One is longitudinal wave and another is the transverse wave. So sound waves, these are the example of longitudinal wave. And water waves, if you throw a stone on the surface of the water, then there are the ripples formed, okay. So these ripples are nothing but one type of waves. We will call it as the water waves, and these are the example of transverse waves. Light waves are also the example of transverse wave, okay. But what is the basic difference of longitudinal wave and transverse wave? Which wave we will call it as a longitudinal, and which wave we will call it as a transverse waves? So you see, as I have already told you that sound wave is the example of longitudinal wave. So actually what happens in case of longitudinal wave? There is a formation of compression, rarefaction, compression, rarefaction, okay. So actually at the place of compression, all the particles are densely packed, okay, and at the place of rarefaction, all the particles are less densely packed. There is a density, but it is less as compared to the place of the compression. But actually, whenever you see, this formation of compression and rarefaction is nothing but one kind of wave, okay. Wave will propagate it in the form of alternate compression and rarefaction if you are talking in the case of sound wave, okay. Now you see, suppose that there is a medium, okay, suppose there is a medium, gaseous medium for example, or air medium. It consists of the gaseous particle. Now if the sound wave is propagating, okay, if the sound wave is propagating, then what will happen? There will be the formation of compression, rarefaction, compression, rarefaction. So what will happen at the place of compression? All the particles will come close together, okay, they will be compressed. What will be compressed? Particles in a medium will be compressed, okay. At the place of rarefaction, particles in the medium will be rarefacted, okay, it will be moving apart from each other, okay. So actually whenever the wave is moving, the particles in a medium, they are performing the motion, and basically they are performing the simple harmonic motion, okay. But you see, in this case of sound wave propagation, in which direction the particles are moving? The particles are moving in the direction in which the wave is moving. Suppose the wave is moving in this particular direction, along the x direction, then the particles will also move, the particles in the medium will also move along the x direction only, okay. So at the place of compression, particles will come close together like this. At the place of rarefaction, particles will be moving apart from each other like this, okay. So the particles, if the particles in a medium, they vibrate in a direction parallel to the direction of propagation of wave, then such a wave will be called as a longitudinal wave. And in case of transverse wave, which I have given the example of water waves, okay, if you throw the stone at the water surface, there will be the ripples formed on the surface of water, and these ripples are nothing but the transverse wave. So why we are calling it as a transverse wave? Because you see, if there is a water surface, okay, and if you throw the stone, then the ripples will be formed. Ripples will be represented like this. But in which direction the water wave will be moving? Water wave will be moving along the surface of the water itself. So ripples, whatever ripples form, they will be moving in the upward direction, okay, but the wave itself will be moving along the planar direction, okay. which is perpendicular to this upward direction along the surface of the water. So the wave in which the particles in a medium vibrates in a direction perpendicular to the direction of the propagation of wave, such a wave will be called as a transverse wave. Another example of transverse wave is the light wave. So in case of light wave, you see there is a electric field inside it, there is a magnetic field inside it, and both these fields are perpendicular to each other, and they are also perpendicular to the direction of the propagation of wave. So such a wave will be called as a transverse wave. Okay. And remember that if I represent the wave like this does not itself tells me that it is a transverse wave. Okay, longitudinal wave will also be represented like this, and the example is shown in this particular diagram. Okay, you see at the place of compression there is a maximum displacement, for example from some mean position, and at the place of rarefaction there is a minimum displacement from the mean position. So the wave, longitudinal wave, will also be represented like this. Okay, this does not mean that it is a transverse wave. Okay, now let us come to the principle of superposition, which is the first topic of this particular unit. So you see, I have already told you that if there is a wave, simple harmonic wave, okay, if there is a simple harmonic wave moving in the space, what will happen? Every particle in a medium, they will also perform the motion as regard to the motion of the wave itself. Okay, now we will be discussing with only the sound waves. Okay, so sound waves are nothing but the longitudinal wave. So whenever they will be moving in the space, all the particles in a medium, they will also be performing longitudinal motion. They will be moving in a direction parallel to the direction of the propagation of wave. Okay, so what is the meaning actually? So if there is a particle, suppose, and wave is yet to reach at this particular point. Okay, so if there is a particle and now our sound wave is moving in the form of compression and rarefaction. So once this wave is reached at this particular point, then what will happen? This point will again, or particle in this point will again try to move along with the wave. Okay, it will perform some kind of simple harmonic motion. So if a particle in a medium is performing simple harmonic motion, there will be some displacement of the particle. Okay, and suppose that the displacement of the particle is denoted by y1. If only one wave, suppose this is one wave, this is the source S1 and it is emitting one kind of sound wave and it is reaching at a point P, suppose. Okay, then the displacement of the particle at a point P, it is denoted by y1. Suppose there is another wave which is emitting from another source S2, it is also reaching to the point P. Okay, only means if only this source S2 is sending wave, okay, S1 is absent, for example, only source S2 is sending the wave and it is reaching at point P, then depending on the wave, the particle at a point P will also perform some kind of motion and the displacement of that particle will be there. That displacement is denoted by y2. Now suppose source S1 and source S2 are absent, there is another source S3 and it will be sending some wave, and if it is reaching at a point P, then the particle at a point P will perform some kind of motion. It will have some kind of displacement and that displacement is y3. Now these are the individual displacements produced by each wave. Okay, now that we know that if one particular wave will be reaching, the particle will be having some kind of displacement, and the individual displacements are denoted by y1, y2, y3. But what will happen if all the waves reach the point P simultaneously? Okay, if all the waves reach the point P simultaneously, then the resultant displacement of the particle at a point P will be the vector sum of individual displacements, that is y1, y2, y3. The resultant displacement at the point P will be the vector sum of individual displacements produced by each wave, and this is nothing but, if the resultant displacement is y, then it is equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3 plus y4, etc., etc., depending on the number of waves that exist there. Okay, but remember that here y1 and y2 and y3, these are the vector displacement. These displacements have one particular direction. It may happen that sometimes y1 plus y2 becomes maximum, It may also happen that depending on the direction, y1 plus y2 may become 0 also. Okay, so this is the difference between normal scalar addition and a vector addition. So remember that this particular displacement is a vector displacement. It may happen that at one particular point P, the displacement of the particle at a point P because of the wave S1 is in the vertical direction, and the displacement at a point P because of the wave S2 is in the downward direction. So the resultant displacement, if both the displacements are equal, then the resultant displacement will be 0 actually. The particle will not be moving at all. So such a things may happen if the displacements are the vector displacements. So that we have to remember. Now there are some terminologies which you are already aware of. There is the interference of wave. Okay, so interference of a wave is a special case of superposition of waves. Okay, so interference is nothing but it is a special case of superposition of wave traveling in the same medium at the same time. Okay, so we have already discussed about the superposition of wave. So superposition of wave, if you want to see the special case of superposition of wave, then this special case is nothing but the interference. When the two waves pass simultaneously through some point in a medium, then the resultant displacement at that point is a vector sum of the displacements due to two waves, that we already know. This modification in displacement, if there is a modification in displacement, then what will happen? I have already told you that displacement is closely related with the amplitude, because displacement is related with the amplitude and amplitude is related with the intensity. I is equal to mod of a square, where a is the amplitude and a is denoted by d. Not d, a is denoted by the displacement of the particle. So there will be the displacement of the particle, and with that displacement we will find out what is the amplitude of that particular wave, and with the help of amplitude we will find out what is the intensity. So if there is a modification in the displacement, then there will be the modification in the intensity. Okay, and this particular modification in the intensity is itself called as a interference. Okay, now there are two types of interference. One is a constructive interference and another is the destructive interference. So what will happen in case of constructive interference? So you see, these are the two waves in the downward direction. You see, this is one wave, this is another wave, and these are moving in a medium in the same direction, for example. Okay, and they arrive at a point simultaneously, and the two waves are represented like this. You see, these two waves are in same phase. They are starting with the same position at the same time. Okay, you see, this particular wave is starting from 0 at t equal to 0, for example. Then this wave is also is starting from the origin at t is equal to 0. Such a waves are called as waves with phase difference 0, because both the waves are having same wavelength. You can see that both the waves are having same wavelength, same frequency, same time period. So such a wave will be having same phase difference, or phase difference between these two waves is 0. In such a case, when these two waves arrive at a point simultaneously, what will happen? The crest of one wave will coincide with the crest of other. This is called as a crest, this is called as a trough. So crest of one wave will coincide with the crest of other, and trough of one wave will coincide with the trough of other. In such a case, the resultant displacement of the wave will be maximum. This can easily be understood. You see, at this particular position, the displacement produced by wave 1 will be this much. At this particular position, the displacement produced by wave 2 will be this much. So all these two displacement are in the same direction. So the resultant displacement will be maximum, and it is denoted here. Okay, so the resultant displacement is maximum. You see, in this particular downward direction also, this wave is also moving in the downward direction. This wave is also moving in the downward direction. So resultant displacement will also be in the downward direction with the maximum displacement. These two displacements will be added over each other. Okay, so the resultant wave will be represented like this. You see, it is having the same time period, same wavelength, but the amplitude is now maximum. Now if the amplitude is maximum, the intensity will also become maximum. Okay, you see here the amplitude is 2 times actually. So the intensity will become 4 times, because I is equal to mod of a square. 2 square is nothing but 4 times a square. 2a square is nothing but 4 times a square. So intensity has become 4 times. So such a type of interference where the intensity becomes maximum is called as a constructive interference. Okay, and sometimes it may also happen that you see this is the wave which is moving in this particular fashion, and another wave, you see this wave is also started from origin but it is moving in the positive direction. This wave is also started from the origin but it is moving in the negative direction. So when these two waves will superimpose, then the displacement produced by one wave will be in the positive direction and displacement produced by the another wave will be in the negative direction. Just a minute. Yes, the displacement produced by one wave will be in the positive direction and the displacement produced by another wave will be in the negative direction. You see the displacement produced by this wave is in at this particular position is in the negative direction, but the displacement produced by this wave at this particular position will be in the positive direction. So positive, negative, negative, positive will get cancel each other and the resultant displacement of the particle will be 0. Resultant displacement will be 0. So if the displacement is 0, it means that amplitude is 0, and if the amplitude is 0, it means that the intensity will also be 0. So such a type of interference pattern is called as a destructive interference. Such a type of interference is called as a destructive interference. So mathematical treatment we will be discussing in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.